Connectivity is critical because it allows genes to move around the landscape. So you can imagine a situation where you've got two populations of a species, and those populations are living in different types of environments. So let's imagine that those populations are not connected to one another, so genes can't move between one population and the next population. So if the first population's environment changes, then effectively it means that you can't take the genes from the other population, move them across, and that of course can potentially allow that first population to adapt to that environmental change. So of course connectivity is critically important at a time of climate change, because we know that populations are facing stresses from climate changes, and of course they have to adapt to hotter conditions, they have to adapt to more extreme conditions of various types. It might be drier as well. And what you want to do is you want to allow genes that pre-adapt, if you like, those populations to be able to shuffle around the landscape. So that's going to really help those populations persist at the time of climate change. And that applies to animals as well as plants. We know from many, many years of work that plants are adapted to different conditions, that animals are also adapted to different conditions, and you want that gene flow to happen. So you can imagine a situation where you've got, say, moving up and down mountains, say you've got cold conditions at the top, you've got warmer conditions at the bottom, and of course those populations at the top of the mountains have to adapt to warmer conditions into the future. So what you want to do is you want to have connected populations, so those genes from down below can move up the top and help those populations adapt to warmer conditions. So that's why gene flow is critically important in the landscape. And of course something that happens with gene flow is that it can take many thousands of years for those processes to occur. So this is really a situation where you've had natural gene flow occurring between populations and landscapes across a very long time interval. And now of course we're facing a situation where the same sorts of climate changes are going to occur in a much shorter period of time. And that means that you need to enhance gene flow as well in some ways. So this means you connect the landscape, but you also might need to deliberately start moving genes around that landscape. And again, people have talked about that. That's a little bit controversial, but we want effectively to assist gene flow to happen. So it's almost like you need to have an accelerated level of connectedness that allows populations to survive into the future.